Hi everyone, my name's Kay and this is my first video. I will be creating this look with the Jeffree Star Jawbreaker palette. So if you like this look and you want to see how to create it, just keep watching. Today I will be doing a winter look with the Jeffree Star Jawbreaker palette. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm just going to do my brows quick with the Anastasia Brow Wiz. So next, to carve out my eyebrows and prime my lids, I'm going to use the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. It's like a potted version of the Radiant Creamy Concealer. And I'm just going to take that on a concealer brush. And now I'm going to go in with my AOA blender. This is only $1.50 off of Shop Miss A, and it's better than any other blender. So I'm just going to tap this out. Okay, so with Jeffree Star eyeshadows, typically he recommends not setting your primer before putting them on. So I'm just going to give it a second to set on its own. What I'm going to do is go in and prime my face with the Laura Mercier Foundation Primer in Radiance. Okay, so first for our transition color, I'm going to dip into the shade Brain Freeze in this palette. And I'm just using a Sigma E40 for that. Trying to be like semi-light-handed on it because this is our transition. It's not like one of the main colors. So I'm going to start the shape of a halo eye. Bring that up a little further than usual. And I just want to make sure this is really nicely blended out, just so the final look ends up being very diffused. Okay, so next we're going to give this some depth. I'm going to go into the color Soaked. I'm just going to take the same brush and just do the same movements, but not blow it out as far. Okay, so a little trick I like to use if the blending is a little bit off or you went up too high is I will take any kind of like big fluffy brush and tap it into a color that's similar to your skin tone. So I will be using the color Virgin to do that. And what I'm going to do is just gently buff out the edges. Especially with blues or like very pigmented colors, it can be tough if you mess up the blending to go in with the same brush and try and fix it. So I'd rather just do it this way. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I am going to take a Sigma E70. So you can use whatever you have at home, but this is just an angled buffing brush. So I am going to go into the color Delicious, this dark blue down here. And what I want to do is kind of try and keep this more contained, like into a specific shape. This is going to create the halo eye. What I like to do with my eye shape, and you can adjust this to your eye shape or to your liking, is I like to take this, like a brush like this, and just stamp the outside with the darkest color. I do like most of my looks to be kind of winged out because I find that it opens my eyes and brightens my face a little bit, so we'll get more into that once this is all done. So basically what I'm doing is, if you can see, I almost made a wing here, and then I'm bringing it back around. I'm going to add a little bit more depth to the wing part. I'm going to pop some in here. You have to be careful with this part because especially with doing blues and darker colors, it can make you look sick or like you got hit. So try to keep it on your lid and not in your inner corner. Okay, so it's looking a little bit messy right now, but I promise the end result will be much better. So I'm gonna go back in with the fluffy brush that we started with and tap back into Brain Freeze, which was the lightest blue that we started with. And I'm gonna use this to buff out the corners just a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna go back in with my big fluffy brush and some of the white. So now I'm gonna bust out my angled brush again and go back in with the dark blue. A lot of the way that I do makeup is just kind of going back and forth and messing around until I get it how I want it. I don't really expect to have it all done in one go. So I'm just gonna deepen up these outer edges and kind of form the shape for my halo eye. Okay, so we're done with the blue for right now. I might go back in and touch some stuff up later, but we can move on for now. Okay, so I am going to take, I have these Urban Decay double-ended brushes from my old Naked palettes. I don't have the Naked palettes anymore, but I like the brushes. Any like flat synthetic brush will work, or you can use whatever your preference is. So I am going to go into the color Licorice, this red. And I'm going to pop this in the middle. I like to go slow and build rather than going in with a whole bunch of product and having to wipe off fallout and try and adjust because it's easier to add but harder to take away. So here we go. So the idea is to make the center part of the lid the brightest, and then I'm gonna diffuse it out a bit. So what I'm going to do is take the other side of this. It's a tiny bit fluffier, but it's still good for applying stuff to the center of the lid. And I'm just gonna gently buff that out so that it goes kind of seamlessly into the blue. And I'm gonna do the same thing for the other eye. Okay, so we're gonna go back into the blue with the angled fluffy brush, the darkest blue. And what I'm gonna do is kind of do a little bit more fading and diffusing things together. So here we go. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is do a glitter liner. To start that, I'm going to take my Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Eyeliner in black. And I'm gonna do this winged. So I always start with the outer corner and then bring it down onto the lid. So this is gonna be a thick wing because I do wanna put some glitter over the top, so you don't want it too thin, otherwise it'll look weird. Okay, so now that that's done, not everything is perfectly shaped on the bottom, and that's okay because what I really like to do with everything, as you saw with like my brows, is to carve things out. So I'm going to go in with my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, and I'm just going to take that same concealer brush and just dip into here. And with this, you really want to go light, like don't take a lot be as light-handed as possible because we're gonna carve out the bottom and you don't want it to get like mucky or have the concealer be everywhere, so just the lightest amount. And I like to start by doing the very bottom and kind of getting the shape there. And then what I'll do once I have that shape all carved out is go in closer to the line of the wing. Okay, so I usually only use the brush for the outer corner, and then I will just take the doe foot and dab some on the rest. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back in with my AOA sponge and just blend this all out. I love these sponges because you can get really precise with this tip, but it's not hard. Like, it's very malleable, so I can get right into the wing, but still tap it out, and it's gentle on my under eyes. I also take the opportunity to use the sponge to help shape. So I don't know if you just saw that, but there is a little bit of blue still where the concealer is. So I can take the corner and just tap it out like that. A lot of people like the Real Techniques sponge because it has the precise corners, but for me the Real Techniques is a little bit too hard. This one is super soft and I can still get all the right angles, so I prefer this one, and it's much cheaper. So I usually order them by like 10 or 20 and I give them out to my friends and family because I've got them all hooked on them. So I don't know if you can see on camera, but right here there's some blue in my inner corner, so what I'm gonna do is bring my concealer up a little bit just to cover that up. Okay, so next I'm going to go in with my foundation, and again it is NARS. It's the Sheer Glow foundation, and with this one I try to do as thin of a layer as possible, just because it is pretty full coverage and that doesn't really look the best in sunlight when you do too much. I'm gonna throw a little extra where I have rosacea, which is on my lower cheeks. I usually don't put any on my nose. I like to put it around my face and then use the sponge to bring some in on my nose because I don't like a lot of foundation on my nose. I tend to touch my face throughout the day, so like if I blow my nose or I'm just touching my nose in general, then it looks like there's like marks of demarcation. So to avoid that, I just don't put a lot on to begin with. So I'm just gonna tap this out, and I'm going to bring this down my jawline and down my neck a little, just for continuity. So right now I'm just using what little bit was on the sponge and bringing that on my nose. So now that I'm happy with the coverage, I'm going to go in and set the foundation and the concealer with my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Natural and Light Plus. And I'll be taking this Real Techniques brush. This is the Instapop face brush. I really, really like this, especially if you have large pores. Like I have pretty large pores on my nose. Since this is so dense and stiff, I find that I can push the product right in. And that helps with like when you look up close at yourself and like sometimes you'll see your foundation like starting to settle into your pores. This seems to help a lot. So I do like to use this one for that. Okay, so next I'm going to do the lower lash line, and I did not forget about the glitter liner on top, but I do like to do that as one of my last steps. I like to do the rest of the face. So I'm going to go back into my palette and go into the light blue Brain Freeze. And I'm just taking this on a little shader brush. This is from Dose of Colors. And I'm going to hit my lower lash line with this. And And this, I'm purposely making it very blown out and diffused. I even like to bring it and meet it with the wing up here. Okay, so I am going to tap into Soaked, which was the bright blue, the second color that we used. And I'm going to try and do this pretty light-handed. Now, this, you don't want to blow out as much. Keep it closer to the lash line for emphasis. I'm going to stay in the same palette for my highlighter. We're going to use the color Jawbreaker. And this is just like a Wet n Wild brush. It's like a small shader. So I'm going to tap into that, and I'm going to hit my inner corner with that. I'm going to go pretty gentle because we are going to do the glitter liner, so I don't want it to be overkill. I'm also going to do under the brow bone. Okay, and next I'm taking my Benefit Hoola bronzer with another Real Techniques fluffy brush. This was a limited edition one, but any brush that you like to use for contouring will work just fine. I'm gonna try and keep the cheeks and the face pretty light-handed on the makeup, just because the eyes are so crazy. That being said, you do want some color in your face, so that you don't look washed out, especially if you're pale like I am. And I am going to hit my hairline with the bronzer. And I'm just gonna bring that all around. It should be like barely noticeable, but it does add a little bit of color to your face. And then I'm going to take my Sigma E60, which is actually an eyeshadow brush, but I use it to contour my nose. I'm going to tap into this gently, and I just like to do this to create the illusion of a straighter nose. So what I do is I make 2 lines down the sides, and then I kind of give a little thing here to give the button nose effect. So I did use kind of a lot here, so I'm going to buff this out a little bit. And for blush, I'm going to go into my favorite. It is Hot Mama by The Balm. And again, another Real Techniques brush. This is the blush brush. And I am actually going to skip cheek highlighter for this look. Like I said a million times, I don't want to do too much with the shiny and the glitter. Okay, so finally I'm going to go in with the glitter. So I am using the Urban Decay Heavy Metal Glitter Liner in Midnight Cowboy. You can use any. I like this one. It's like a white gold, like it's not too brassy. So I think it's gonna go good with this look. So you're gonna see why I did the black liner. It gives a really nice base. I feel like most people would think that you would just put the glitter on in the shape of the liner, but this makes it pop so much more. So I'm just going to go over the black eyeliner with the glitter. Okay, so I usually do 2 layers. So this is going to be the first one. I'm going to work on the other eye while I let this layer dry. What's also great about the black line is the glitter doesn't have to be entirely opaque, but it looks like it is because it has that black backdrop, and you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to start my second layer on this eye. Okay, so I am all done with the glitter. So next I'm going to move into lashes. So I'm going to start with the mascara. It doesn't have to be like an amazing mascara because I am going to do lashes with this look since it is such a crazy look. Right now I'm trying out the Benefit Bad Gal Bang mascara. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I only used it once, so I'm going to give it a couple more tries. And like I said, this step isn't, you don't have to worry about it too much because the goal here is to make your lashes black so that they blend in with the false lashes. However, if you didn't want to use lashes with this look, you could also do that. Just use your favorite mascara. I'm also going to hit the bottom lashes. I tend to do the outer, maybe half of my lid with the lashes. Yeah, so I'm not really too much of a fan of this mascara. It's very odd. I don't know what to say about it. I feel like it doesn't curl my lashes, which I really do not like. I typically use the Better Than Sex by Too Faced. And this one, not doing it for me, but it'll work for keeping my lashes black. Okay, so it is lash time. So I am using the Ardell Wispies. I also really like some of the AOA lashes. I actually like them better because they're so cheap that I don't feel bad about wearing them for a couple hours and then tossing them out. Because you can buy them in packs like this for like $4, whereas an Ardell pack is, I think, around $12. So I just have the Ardells right now. I don't have any of the AOA ones, but I do prefer the AOA ones. So I'm just going to walk you through how I put on lashes. I do use tweezers, so use this tip at your own risk. What I like to do is pull up the corner of the lash when getting it off of the container, and just be gentle. You don't want to destroy the lash. And then once it's pulled up enough, I can take my hand and do that. My favorite lash glue is the Duo Brush On Adhesive. I've tried the House of Lashes, but I'm not a fan because, yes, it does hold onto your lashes really well, but my lashes are goopy for days on end, and it's impossible to get out without pulling out lashes. So I prefer this one. It does have a really nice hold, and it dries down completely to where you can't see the glue. So I'm going to brush this on my lash. And I like to brush a good amount, not too much, not too little. I always try to brush on a little bit more at the outer corner and the inner corner because that's where lashes typically pop off. And then you want to give this a moment to set, so it should be kind of tacky before you put it on your lash. Okay, so how I do this is I'll take my tweezers and hold the lash in the center of the lash. And what you want to do is place this on the center of your lash line, not your eyelid, but your actual lash line, and that's how you're going to get the most natural look. So once that's on the center, what I do is take the edge and push that side down, the outer edge. And then I'll go in and do the inner edge. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, because my lashes aren't perfect right now, I did get some kind of on my eyelid rather than in my lash line. So I'm gonna go back in with the glitter and just hit it right where the liner is. Alright, so next I'm going to go in with lips. So I just chose a random neutral. This is the Giorgio Armani lipstick in the color 102. I'm just gonna throw that on. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with my concealer brush, and I messed up a part here, so I'm just gonna carve that out. Okay. Last but not least, I'm going to set my face. So I'm going to start with the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. I'm just gonna brush that through quick. I'm going to do a few sprays of the Urban Decay De-Slick. Try not to get this too much around the eye area. At least for me, this look doesn't smudge, but I've heard others say that stuff like that can cause their eyes to smudge. So I try to center it on my face and my forehead. Okay, so this is the final look. I hope you guys like it. I know it's a little bit out there, but that's just what I like. So I highly recommend the Jeffree Star Jawbreaker palette. I didn't really talk about it too much as I was doing the makeup, but you can see for yourself the pigment, the blendability. This palette is awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, I hope you'll like, subscribe, and comment below. Thanks, bye.